So this is going to be a very different video than I normally record. I was streaming on TikTok today and someone came into my chat and said something along the lines of Jesus is king and he died for you. And I kind of went on this little tangent. Now don't get me wrong, hear me out. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. You guys know TikTok's a really big place for people that are learning to get into Christianity, and I myself love watching the videos. I feel like it's the only way I can really learn about this stuff is because I have a really hard time reading the Bible or really any book, honestly. My attention span is cooked, so I feel like it goes every which way and I have to restart the page, and it's just a struggle. So I use TikTok as kind of my crutch. Something I've been realizing is there's a lot of people in these comment sections, and really, again, in live streams or even random videos, that they kind of just copy and paste the same message. It'll be under memes, it'll be under car crash videos, it'll be under the most random stuff you'll find. And I have no issue with people saying this, and I genuinely do agree and believe. But I feel like if you're going to spread the love of Jesus in any way, you have to put your heart into it. Now, spreading it in any way is better than not spreading it at all, don't get me wrong. I can think of at least 20 times in my life where I probably could have talked about God, and I didn't. And I should have talked about it, and I didn't. But I do think you should approach this in a little bit of a different way. Instead of copy and pasting the same message in every comment section, you could put your own testimony into it. I know there is a character limit and stuff like that, don't get me wrong, but add some spice to it, add your personality into it. It feels so disingenuous to me. It takes away from the message you're trying to put out there. You should be yourself. Write it in your own words, even if you don't spell right, even if it sounds a little goofy, even if it's worded goofy. God made us all unique, and I feel like if you're spreading the word, you got to take that extra time and care and thought into it and do it in your own light instead of copy and pasting the same message, because you could really change somebody's life. When it isn't as authentic, it can make someone shy away instead of really embracing it and learning. Even myself, when I read a message like that under a comment section, I feel so disconnected from the person that wrote it because I almost feel like they aren't really there. They're not really saying that. They're just mindlessly copy and pasting the same message. There's no thought into it, no care, and no love. And I could be wrong. There's probably some that I've seen that seem like a copy and paste, but it really is somebody's words. So don't get me wrong, I could be wrong, but I just wish there was more thought and care put into them. A lot of this is out of guilt too, because guilt's a really hard thing to deal with in Christianity because it's actually like a good thing. It's a sign that you're stepping towards holiness, being self-aware of your sin. It's self-awareness of what you're doing wrong is wrong. But sometimes you also don't have to beat yourself up as much as you are. God isn't going to love you anymore for your works that you're doing. He already loves you the maximum amount. Just make it your own. Make it yourself. Don't copy and paste. Copy and paste. It just feels so disconnected. You need to do it when it feels right. Maybe sometimes it doesn't feel right. Maybe sometimes you just feel like an urge to, and you just have to step past that awkwardness and that nervousness that you may feel. But I feel like it's still an important thing. If you look at it like you're saving someone's life, you would put in more thought and effort into this message because you could change somebody's life and you could save somebody. A lot of it is guilt because I do see a lot of these videos that kind of condemn you if you don't interact. It starts with oh, the devil doesn't want you to see this video, or God is calling. How could you ignore God calling to you? And I feel like it's the guilt of these videos that condemn you if you don't interact and pressuring you to watch the video. Or some of them will have these prayers that are written out and you'll be following the prayer. I do this all the time. I'll be following the prayer and it'll reach a point where it goes from a prayer into, and I promise to God that I will share this gospel and I'll at 3 people. Or it's like what you're doing is a really crummy thing because you're making the conviction of the Holy Spirit guilt trip somebody into sharing your video so you can benefit from it. And I'm not saying it's necessarily a scummy thing to do. I don't really like using that word, but it's not a great thing. You're really hurting some people. When I'm scrolling through at night and I'm sitting there having a great night and I'm cutting up and laughing, and then I see a prayer or I see a video that says, oh, God's calling you and you're ignoring him. The guilt I feel for skipping past something like that, or having to cut the end of the prayer off just so I don't have to say those words in my head and then feel guilty if I do say them because I'm really not going to do that, or I'm not going to comment, or I'm not going to add 3 people. The fact of it is your guilt, you're using people's guilt against them, and you can ruin people's whole entire night. I've went to sleep many nights kind of almost upset because I read something that said, oh, I promised to God I would do this, I promised that, and I didn't do it. And here's the thing about it. You aren't even supposed to make promises to God. You can't keep a promise. You are a human. You will never actually keep a promise. You can make as many as you want. Every promise is eventually going to be broken. It doesn't matter. You can make a promise all you want. You're going to mess it up. It does not matter. So you're not even supposed to make promise. So when they end with, oh, I promise that I'm going to share this, or I promise or whatever, it's already a bad thing because you're not supposed to promise. So then it adds on to the guilt of, oh, well, I did promise, I said it in my head, but I'm not doing it. It's this self-awareness of you really know that this person is trying to benefit off of you instead of benefiting you and God in any way. There's dishonest ways to spread the gospel, and this is one of them. A lot of these videos cast a horrible light on God in itself because it makes God seem like this condemning being, like this dictator above you that's like, oh, if you don't listen to this stuff, if you don't do it perfect, you're not going to get your blessing. It's just really dishonest, and it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. If you want to know my opinion on how to tell somebody about God, I always explain it the exact same way. I tell you it's like accepting a dog as a birthday gift. It's a beautiful gift of life. It's got to be maintained. It's got to be pampered, fed, groomed. It's got to be trained. It's basically a gift that's constant work, is what I'm saying. It's a lot of work, and it's hard, and it's almost hard to accept. But you also get a forever friend, someone that's going to love you no matter what you do, what you wear, how you act. If you get mad at the dog, it doesn't care. If you don't give the dog as much of attention one day as you do the next, it doesn't care. The love from it never dies. The only way you can get rid of it is to give it away. And yeah, dogs do pass away, but God doesn't. So, I mean, there's your answer to that too. And if the videos that guilt you into these things, I feel like you should just know and be self-aware enough to go, okay, well, you know, God and I can both agree. I'm not going to go to hell because I didn't at the 3 people in this guy's comment section. You know what I mean? But I also think that it's doing this negative thing where it's going to start making people skip past all the videos. This is an issue I'll be scrolling past a video and I'll see one start with just a prayer. It'll just rip into a prayer. No warning, no beforehand. It's just immediate prayer. And I've reached the point where I've been skipping these videos that say, oh, God is condemning you, or God doesn't want you to watch, or the devil doesn't want you to watch this video. I will skip past the important videos now because I've got comfortable skipping past those videos. So if you're a person that's making these videos that start with the, oh, God is calling to you and whatever else, I want to let you know that you're doing a pretty rough thing. It's not bad. I understand. Don't get me wrong. I want clicks too, but you're ruining it for a lot of people because you're making them stray away from the thing that was bringing them closer to God. Maybe it isn't God himself. You're not making them stray away from God himself. But all these videos and all these comment sections and all this is probably a way for somebody to get closer to God. And you're making it hard for them and making them almost have a bitterness and stray away from at least the videos themselves. Not God, just the videos themselves. You're doing the exact opposite of what you're trying to do, is you're trying to bring people in, but you're more of pushing people out. I do want to say a lot of these content creators that make the videos, like Cliff, don't know how to say his last name, like Lee or Lay. I'll show a picture of her right now because I don't really know how to say her name either. These people really helped me with growing into Christianity and growing up just as a human. I remember when I first ran into these videos, I had just lost my job. It was 2023, and I had really been struggling to be happy, and honestly, I still am. And I felt like some of the messages that were sent out from these content creators that really do have heart and love in it is like, it felt like it was tailored to me. I remember when Lay or Lee, however you say her name, I don't know, man. She was going through the book of Job and talking about how if you're given everything and then have it taken away, would you still be a servant of God? Would you still love God? And something that I pulled away from all that is that whenever I find myself struggling, I draw closer to God. And I feel like the situation that you're in is probably because you're closest to God when you're in it. Maybe you aren't able to find work because you never pray when you are working. Maybe you aren't able to make your dream come true. Maybe it's because God's afraid that you'll leave him behind when you reach your goal. I mean, if you have one goal for your life and you just made it tomorrow, what would you do after that? You still have life to live. You still have to grow as a person. What are you going to do? What do you have planned? So I feel like it's one of those things that you have to be careful with and learn the right things from the right people. Some messages are meant for you. Some messages aren't meant for you. There's no need to feel guilt because you don't watch one video, but you do watch other videos. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like you feel guilty, but you lose that guilt. Truthfully, TikTok is on like an algorithm system. If you watch enough videos that are sent out to you, yes, obviously all the other videos are going to pour in, but some messages are meant for you. Rather it be from these big content creators or these little content creators, whatever, some messages are meant for you. Hell, even if you're watching this video right now, I've never done this before in my life. I'm just kind of randomly rambling. I'm just kind of chipping away at the old block. I don't know what I'm talking about. But you don't have to feel guilt whenever you feel like a message isn't for you, because I just want to let you know, if you have that feeling, if you have Jesus on your team, I don't think it's a devil or demon stopping you from seeing the video. And especially if it's a video that condemns you and makes you feel like you aren't loved by God if you don't do a certain thing or act a certain way. Don't let guilt overwhelm you and pressure you, because it can cause you to fall away instead of embracing, if that makes any sense. Everything you're doing is fine. Everything you're going to do is going to be okay. You're going to make mistakes, and God isn't going to punish you. So don't let these videos trip you out. Don't go watching them and feeling convicted because you didn't watch the thing or share it or whatever else. That's basically what I'm saying. And if you're out there running one of these channels that post these videos, don't get me wrong, you're doing a decent thing, but you got to do it in a different way, because manipulating the conviction of the Holy Spirit to get watch time on your videos is pretty crummy. Pretty crummy. That's why I'm trying not to make this a clickbaity kind of title. I don't even want to do that. I don't want to make anybody feel like they have to watch this. I'm just going to make it something pretty basic. I don't know what I'm going to make it, but I'm going to figure it out. And for the person that's watching this that does feel kind of convicted and pressured and kind of scared to progress, or maybe they don't feel like they're progressing enough, just calm down. I'm struggling too. You don't feel like you're alone, and everybody is constantly working on it, okay? It's not just a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years. It's going to be something that's a constant growth. So just let go of the fear. Just breathe. You're doing enough. You're doing as much as you can handle. Just breathe. You're fine. And that's it. I don't know what this video, I don't know what I was doing, but we made it. So enjoy the video.